Okay, so for today's video, I want to talk about my ideal coffee shop. Um, I actually have aspirations to open my own coffee shop one day, but I need to really inform myself on business, just the field of business, how to do business, because there's a lot I still don't know. Although I've got tel experience, there's a lot I don't know about that. So I need to really do my homework on that first. Um, Coffee shop is what we say in the United Kingdom. I know in the United States it's coffee house. So if I was Joey, Shander, Ross, Rachel, Phoebe, or Monica, I would be talking about the coffee house. I'm not sure what our Canadian friends say, what you say in Australia or New Zealand. Let me know what where wherever you are in the world. What do you call the coffee shop place where you relax with coffee? Um, so basically, there's a number of things that I want to look at. Um, I don't want to name any specific businesses outside of, not in terms of specific reviews of that business, more maybe in generic terms. So here in Sunderland, we have, and this is very approximate, I think it's about eight chain coffee stores, coffee shops, and maybe another 8 to 10 independent coffee shops. That's in the city centre. I don't know about the suburbs, but let's say roughly 15 to 20 coffee shops in the city centre. Coffee shops are very popular in the UK. They're in every sizable town, city. They're everywhere. I mean, people like to go to them to relax, sometimes do business. Personally, when I go grocery shopping, the reason, I like to relax afterwards. I don't particularly enjoy the process of grocery shopping, so I like to sit down if I can afford it and just relax with a newspaper and a coffee. I'm usually quite boring. I usually just get a latte or a cappuccino, very occasionally a hot chocolate. I don't get anything special. And I don't get, I rarely get food. I've also been to coffee shops around the world. I was in a very interesting one in Kaili in Guizhou province, China, that was done in a sort of Art Deco style. So it was kind of dim lighting, really retro lampshades and stuff. That was quite a cool place, and I miss it. I used to go there often. Um, Big chain stores like Starbucks, of course, will have local variations. I know in China, the Starbucks that I've been to there, I was in one in Wuhan City. In Wuhan, they do like a green bean latte, which was quite nice. It's nicer than it sounds. So these big stores need to sort of take into account, these big chain multinationals need to take into account local tastes as well. I mean, in the UK, I don't know if this is true, but apparently the average Briton likes their coffee somewhat weaker than our friends in France and Italy. In other parts of Europe, they're stronger flavors. So I don't know if that's true or not, but there you have it. Then, of course, you get coffee that in some parts of the world, which is said to be overpriced and a rip-off simply because of location. So, for example, apparently, again, don't quote me on this, but I've heard that to get a coffee in St. Mark's Square, Venice, is €10, which is insane. Um, but there you have it. So, coffee, this is a major, major billion pound, dollar, euro industry around the world. Um, and whilst I don't spend all the time in coffee shops, I spend quite a lot of time, when I've done my shopping. So I've picked up over the years things that I like and dislike. And I'm just going to go through those now. Again, this is subjective, it's just my opinions. The first thing I'm going to point out is customer service. Now, this sounds like a given, because you need good customer service in any shop. But I think, particularly in a coffee shop, particularly a place where people go to relax, if you have someone that is rude or just doesn't know how to approach that, then it's going to damage the business. Even if it's great coffee, even if it's good prices, if you have a barista or a staff member who just isn't, they don't understand the importance of customer care, then it's going to backfire. Um, I'll give an example of this. And again, I'm not my interest here is not in kind of defaming any individual business. So I'll just say a coffee shop that I'm familiar with, there are some staff members who just, um, you know, they seem like they don't want to be there. And this particular place has a policy of giving a free filter refill. Now, if that's a policy, that's a policy. Yet when I ask for it, there is one staff member, and she just seems to take it as kind of a chore. She seems to almost resent this. Um, I do know that there is situations that arise, for example, the big scandal with Costa Coffee recently regarding the treatment of staff, and I'm hugely sympathetic to people in that situation, but don't take it out on customers. I mean, I honestly think a smile makes a huge difference. It really does. And I don't think it should be like a fake, phony thing over the top. I don't expect the barista to become my best friend, but I honestly think a smile goes a long way, even small talk. Incidentally, the place that I've just mentioned also has staff who do precisely that, so it's a mixed package. But basically, a smile goes a long way, politeness goes without saying. I've been in one place, another place I should say, they're not rude per se insofar as, they'll say please and thank you, but it's very robotic and there's just no soul about the place. There's no friendliness. It's very cold. And you notice this. It's just a very cold demeanor, like, okay, you'll have the latte, that's whatever the price is. I'll take the money, here's your latte. It's just very, I honestly think if you work in a coffee shop, you have to enjoy it. Otherwise, you're in the wrong job. Because notwithstanding, like I say, the corruption at Costa Coffee, in which case, I totally understand staff being unhappy. But in which case, if they can, I think, I wouldn't work for someone that treated me badly. But not to get into that, I just think that good customer service really does involve politeness for sure, but also not treating it like a chore. Making customers feel welcome, a smile. These things go a long way. And I find it incredible how many places seem to forget that little point where they treat it just as a business and not as the fact that people go there to relax. The next point I think is very important is ambience. You can have good customer service, but it can be ruined by a poorly designed interior. I mean, for someone like me who has future aspirations, I consider every detail. So, for example, a seating arrangement, if it's next to a drafty door, I've been in one place and I quite like their coffee and their service, but their seating arrangement is really bad because it's right next to a swinging door and there's always a draft, always. And I know sometimes this is difficult to work around because they have to work with the space that they're renting, but that's something they do need to consider. Um, Music is very important. Now, I personally like kind of relaxing retro type music. I think that works very well in coffee shops. And again, this comes down to personal taste. But what I do not like is generic radio music, even if they're decent songs. If you have like generic radio music then it's interspersed by a presenter, reading out the news or whatever, people go to a coffee shop to relax. There's something about that radio broadcasting that just feels, and don't get me wrong, I listen to the radio at home. I just don't think it's right for the coffee shop. It just feels too generic. It's like, you get that in gyms as well, and I dislike it for the same reason in gyms. I much prefer you sit down and it's some really relaxing, chilled out music. I think that works really well. In Sunderland, we have one place, and if you live in Sunderland, you'll know the place I mean. They have a sort of retro design, it's like 50s, 60s sort of design, and they play that music and it works wonderfully. It's great. So I think the choice of music really matters. I don't think you could play rap or rock, or at least hard rock, in a coffee shop. It just doesn't work. I mean, okay, if it's a 50s theme place, that might work, but I think the choice of music is very important. I've been in one place where, firstly, they allocate you to the seat, and maybe they think it's being professional or classy or something. I don't like it. I prefer to just sit where I want rather than being allocated somewhere. and they actually stick me next to loudspeakers. So I'm trying to relax, and this thing is blaring behind my head, and I've been, crying children on the next table. It's just honestly, there's no common sense in that. So if you're going to have music, get the right pitch. Don't blast it out. Incidentally, the same place, their customer service isn't great. In fact, the only thing going for that place is that I quite like the design of the place. It's quite a cool design, but that's about it. The coffee's good as well. Um, Coffee taste is something